Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take complex information, distill it, and deliver the most impactful insights directly to you. Today, we're plunging into a topic that has been making headlines, particularly with recent high-level meetings: the deepening and, frankly, alarming alliance between Russia and North Korea.
That's right. And our sources for this deep dive are pretty extensive. You were looking at reports from the Atlantic Council, Reuters, the UK Ministry of Defense, a wide array of international news agencies like Al Jazeera, CBS, AP, Fox News, and also official government and UN documents.
Okay.
Our mission today is really to unpack the nature of this growing partnership, understand its historical roots, and thoroughly explore its, well, significant implications, not just for Ukraine, but for broader global security.
Yeah, it's a truly fascinating yet deeply concerning development. We're going to break down exactly what's happening, what each side is gaining, and crucially why it matters to you. What's most striking here, I think, is just the brazen way this alliance is challenging established international norms. Let's dive in. Let's start at the beginning. I mean, this isn't a brand new relationship, right? But its recent intensity has certainly caught the world's attention. How has this invincible alliance, as Lavrov called it, come to be so prominent now?
Well, you're right. The diplomatic ties have actually been strengthening for years, sort of quietly building in the background. We saw early signals like North Korea recognizing Crimea as Russian back in 2017.
Right, I remember that.
But the real acceleration kicked off with Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Then, when Russia recognized the self-proclaimed republics in Donetsk and Luhansk in July 22, that's when their relationship really intensified. And it led pretty quickly to Ukraine severing diplomatic ties with North Korea.
And it wasn't just diplomatic gestures, was it? It sounds like actual, tangible military support began quite early on.
Precisely. Reports suggest North Korea began supplying ammunition to Russia as early as July 2022. Initially, it seems, from older Soviet-era stocks.
Okay.
But by November 2022, we had confirmed direct deliveries of munitions to Russia's Wagner private military company. You know, the mercenary group.
Right, Wagner. So that early arms transfer really signaled North Korea's alignment, didn't it? Set the stage.
It absolutely did. It set the stage for, well, much more extensive cooperation down the line.
What's truly striking, I think, about this whole dynamic is the level of military integration we're now seeing, especially over the past year or so. It seems driven by these high-profile meetings that have really solidified the partnership.
Indeed. The pace of engagement has been remarkable. First, we saw Russian Defense Minister Shoigu visit North Korea in July 2023. Highly symbolic trip. That was quickly followed by that big summit between Kim Jong Un and Putin in September 2023 out in Russia's Far East, widely seen as an arms for tech kind of negotiation.
Right.
Then in June 2024, Putin himself made that landmark visit to Pyongyang, his first in 24 years. And that's where they signed this comprehensive strategic partnership treaty.
That treaty. Yeah, that sounds like a real game changer. What's in it specifically that elevates this alliance so much?
Oh, it absolutely is a game changer. It includes a critical mutual military assistance clause. It effectively restores elements of the old Soviet DPRK military alliance that lapsed back in '91.
Wow.
Article 3 is particularly strong. It states that each side will, quote, immediately provide military and other assistance by all of one's means available if the other is put in a state of war by an armed invasion.
Immediately provide assistance.
Yes. And Putin himself noted this provides legal validity for accepting North Korean troops into Russian military operations. So this isn't just defensive, it's operational.
And it just keeps deepening, right? The most recent news was Lavrov's visit in July 2025. They seem determined to cement this bond.
That's right. During that July visit, Kim Jong Un openly reaffirmed Pyongyang's readiness to, quote, unconditionally support and encourage all actions taken by Moscow in its war on Ukraine.
Unconditionally.
Yeah. They talked about strengthening strategic, tactical cooperation, intensifying concerted action internationally. And, you know, a really tangible sign is Russia announcing twice-a-week direct flights between Moscow and Pyongyang.
Direct flights. That signals broad cooperation.
Exactly. Economic, scientific, tech, cultural spheres. The core insight here, really, is how this evolves from, let's say, opportunistic arms deals to a formal, comprehensive strategic partnership openly challenging global norms.
Okay, let's shift focus a bit now to the battlefield itself. What exactly is North Korea contributing to Russia's war effort in Ukraine? It's clearly way more than just diplomatic nods.
You're absolutely right. Their contribution has been substantial, strategically vital for Russia, actually, both in military supplies and now, increasingly, manpower.
Right.
When it comes to supplies, a Reuters investigation back in spring 2025 suggested North Korea was providing more than half of all artillery shells being used by the Russian military in Ukraine.
More than half. That's astonishing.
It is. Ukrainian officials have echoed this, estimating North Korea sent maybe 2.8 million artillery shells annually since 2022. This massive volume let Russia keep up a high rate of fire, conserve its own stocks. It fundamentally altered things tactically.
And it's not just basic shells, is it? We're hearing about more advanced stuff, too.
No, definitely not just shells. North Korea is also supplying, quote, significant quantities of ballistic missiles. A May 2025 report from that multilateral sanctions monitoring team.
The group of 11 countries?
Yeah, them. They concluded Russia is actively using these North Korean missiles to escalate airstrikes on critical Ukrainian civilian infrastructure, to, quote, terrorize entire cities.
That's grim. Do we have numbers on those missiles?
As of late December 2023, reports indicated Russia had already used upwards of 40 North Korean-produced ballistic missiles against Ukrainian targets. And it likely went up from there.
Okay.
Plus, back in mid-November 2024, North Korea delivered almost 50 of those M1989 Coxswain self-propelled howitzers, the big mobile ones, and around 20 M1991 short-range missile systems.
So the volume and the variety, it really underscores North Korea as a crucial arms pipeline for Moscow.
A crucial, consistent pipeline, yes.
Now, beyond the hardware, maybe the most striking, even disturbing part is North Korea actually providing soldiers, troops on the ground. What do we know about that?
Yes, this is a particularly significant and, frankly, unsettling development. The deployment of North Korean troops to Russia was first reported in late 2024.
All right.
Estimates suggest at least 10,000 North Korean soldiers took part in combat operations, specifically in Russia's Kursk region.
10,000 troops.
It shows.
And the fighting there was intense, wasn't it?
Extremely intense. The UK Ministry of Defense reported in June 2025 that North Korean forces sustained more than 6,000 casualties there.
6,000 casualties out of 10,000.
Exactly. Represents about half their original deployment, which grimly indicates their, quote, prominent role in frontline combat operations.
Wow.
And while Moscow and Pyongyang initially denied it, they did publicly acknowledge their role in pushing Ukrainians out of Kursk back in spring 2025.
That casualty rate is just staggering for a foreign contingent. What does that tell us about their capabilities or maybe the conditions they faced?
Well, it certainly suggests very intense combat and a willingness by someone to commit these forces directly. Interestingly, Ukrainian military officials who've encountered them acknowledge their ability to learn quickly and incorporate new tactics.
Really?
Yeah, and that they've adapted to modern combat conditions, including drone warfare. So it seems it's not just about numbers. They're gaining real-time combat experience.
And there's more coming.
It appears so. North Korea agreed to send thousands more personnel. 2 brigades of military construction workers, that's 5,000 men, plus another 1,000 combat engineers for demining and repair work in Kursk.
So support roles mainly for the next wave.
Primarily, yes, but South Korean intelligence also suggests North Korea might be preparing to deploy additional combat troops, perhaps in July or August 2025.
And why are these soldiers going? What's the incentive?
Well, the reported monthly salary is around $2,000, which is significant for North Koreans. And for some, participation is apparently seen as a rare chance for social advancement, maybe financial help for their families, even incentives like party membership.
It's complex motivations.
It seems so. The core insight here, really, is that North Korea isn't just some marginal player. It's acting as a major arms and troop supplier, fundamentally boosting Russia's war capacity and absorbing combat lessons itself.
Right. Which brings us to the other side of the coin. This isn't charity work from Pyongyang. What's in it for North Korea? This seems like a profoundly strategic move for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's hugely strategic for Pyongyang. They're getting critical benefits, addressing long-standing vulnerabilities. First and foremost, Russian help to modernize its military.
Modernize their military. What does that look like specifically?
Well, it's pretty broad. Russian funding for military programs, providing advanced air defense gear, anti-aircraft missiles, critical electronic warfare systems, things they desperately need.
And
Crucially, direct help with the further development of North Korea's ballistic missiles. So it's not just getting hardware off the shelf, it's about upgrading their whole military-industrial complex.
So they're essentially getting real-world combat data plus state-of-the-art upgrades, bypassing decades of international isolation and sanctions.
Precisely. They're gaining, quote, unprecedented experience in modern warfare, which makes it possible to, for instance, increase the accuracy of North Korea's existing missile guidance systems.
Wow.
And with Moscow's help, they're also reportedly developing attack drones similar to those used by Russia to strike Ukrainian cities.
Attack drones, too. The implications of that are significant.
They are. And what's particularly alarming international observers are concerns about potential transfers of really sensitive military tech and prohibited items, things related to satellites, advanced missiles, maybe even nuclear weapons tech.
Nuclear tech. Is there evidence of that?
No direct public evidence, but the concern is there. And adding to that unease, Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov actually stated that Russia, quote, understands and respects North Korea's aspirations for nuclear weapons, even suggesting the tech is their own scientists' work.
That's quite a statement, a real shift in Russia's stance on non-proliferation.
A profound shift, yes.
Okay, and what about the economic side? North Korea's been under crippling UN sanctions for years. This partnership must offer major relief there, too.
It absolutely does. It's a lifeline against the sanctions regime. Russia reportedly unfroze $9 million in North Korean assets, small amount, but symbolically huge. And they're actively helping North Korea access the global financial system, which is a direct violation of UN resolutions. Plus, hosting North Korean workers, another sanctions breach.
And basic necessities, food.
Critically, yes. Russia has increased food exports.
Right.
And the compensation North Korea gets for military aid could let them buy hundreds of thousands of tons of rice, which they desperately need.
So this allows them to lessen their dependence on China, too, perhaps? Gain some leverage?
Exactly. It reduces their heavy reliance on Beijing, gives them a bit more leverage, and provides a direct way to counter UN sanctions. The key takeaway here is North Korea is leveraging a global crisis to achieve its own long-sought goals. Military modernization, economic relief, and reduced reliance on China. It significantly boosts their strategic position.
Okay, so let's zoom out. What does this all mean for the bigger picture? This alliance clearly goes way beyond Ukraine, impacting global stability.
Oh, absolutely. The geopolitical implications are profound, reshaping strategic thinking everywhere. For the war in Ukraine itself, these North Korean supplies and troops are having a significant impact on the battlefield.
How so?
Well, directly aiding Russia's war effort, likely prolonging the conflict, and enabling the escalation of airstrikes on Ukrainian civilian infrastructure using those missiles we talked about.
Right.
And Kyiv officials are seriously worried North Korean soldiers could soon be redeployed to Ukraine itself to join Russia's summer offensive. That would further internationalize the conflict.
And what about on the Korean peninsula itself? How does this shift the balance there?
Well, the modernization of North Korea's army via Russian help poses a whole range of potential security challenges for South Korea and the wider region.
Like what?
Improved conventional forces, sure, but also enhanced missile capabilities, potentially more accurate missiles that could eventually strike the U.S. homeland or allies.
That's deeply concerning.
And it creates this dangerous action-reaction cycle. South Korea, responding to North Korea's involvement, said they'd consider sending lethal weapons to Ukraine, which prompted Putin to warn that Russia might then send even more advanced arms to North Korea. It's a real escalation ladder.
Yeah, you can see how that could spiral. This also feels like a direct challenge to international norms, especially the sanctions regimes designed to curb proliferation.
It absolutely is, and that's one of the most critical long-term implications. Russia isn't just trading with North Korea, it's deliberately undermining the international system.
How specifically?
By blocking U.S.-led efforts at the UN Security Council for stricter sanctions in 22 and 23. And then that really brazen move in March 2024, vetoing the renewal of the UN expert panel that monitors sanctions implementation.
They vetoed the monitoring panel.
Yes. A complete reversal of Russia's previous stance on denuclearization.
Yeah.
It's widely seen as an attempt to limit international monitoring of their own banned trade and activities, and it directly undermines international sanctions regimes targeting North Korea.
Yeah.
It's basically dismantling the tools meant to contain Pyongyang.
So how's the rest of the world, particularly the U.S. and its allies, reacting to this escalating defiance?
Well, the international community has largely condemned North Korea's direct military involvement. The U.S. expressed significant concern, with the Secretary of State saying North Korea could expect a tough response. NATO's Secretary General called the troop deployment in Kursk a significant escalation, endangering security in both the Indo-Pacific and Euro-Atlantic areas, highlighting that global reach.
Right, connecting the two theaters.
Exactly. The UN Secretary General warned about a possible internationalization of the war. Germany emphasized how North Korea's aid just exacerbates things.
And what actions are being taken?
In response, the U.S., South Korea, and Japan have been stepping up their trilateral military exercises. There was a joint air drill with U.S. nuclear-capable bombers near the Korean Peninsula just recently, July 11th, 2025, sending a clear deterrent signal.
And Russia's reaction to that?
Predictably negative. Russia explicitly warned those three countries against forming a security partnership targeting North Korea, accusing them of military buildups.
So tit for tat.
Pretty much. The core takeaway here is this alliance isn't just tactical convenience, it's a strategic realignment by two sanctioned powers. It's already having real impacts on the battlefield and fundamentally challenging global stability and the existing international order.
So what we've really seen today is the rapid evolution of this alliance between Russia and North Korea, two heavily sanctioned nations, reshaping not just the battlefield in Ukraine, but sending these significant ripples across global security.
Yeah, from artillery shells and ballistic missiles to frontline troops and advanced military tech transfers, this partnership demonstrates a clear, aggressive challenge to the existing international order. It signals a shift towards, well, a more polarized world.
This cooperation, marked by North Korea's, quote, unconditional support and Russia's critical assistance, it really underscores a deepening strategic alignment based on mutual benefit, yes, but also assured defiance of international norms.
It really highlights how nations are looking for new forms of leverage, pushing back against established global governance in this increasingly complex, contested geopolitical environment.
So what does this all mean for you, the informed citizen? This deep dive really challenges us to consider, as these two nations solidify their invincible alliance, how might their combined defiance accelerate the erosion of global institutions? How might it reshape the very dynamics of international power, not just in Ukraine or Northeast Asia, but really in every corner of the world? Something truly worth mulling over as these developments continue to unfold.